Hey guys, this is Brent with Venn Technology. Just want to walk you through what our HubSpot Intacct integration looks like, our standard integration with order entry. So to start with, I wanted to walk through this diagram. We got HubSpot here on the left, Intacct here on the right. So I mentioned order entry. We're going to look at going with deals from HubSpot over to order entry inside of Intacct. We'll actually create an order, convert that to a sales invoice, and then write that back as an invoice inside of HubSpot. So the first thing I want to do is show you that we've created some items inside of Intacct and sync those over to HubSpot as products. We'll use those on the deal and then pick this information up and move it over. The last piece we'll do is pay that invoice off, and we'll see that data come back through into HubSpot as an invoice. So let's jump into HubSpot real quick. So these are the two products I just created a second ago, an Intacct implementation and Intacct licensing. So they were created 2 minutes ago. Over here inside of Intacct, this is where they are. So we got our numbers on them. We got our products, our items over here. So they should be ready to roll. So those have synced over. So I'm going to start inside of HubSpot here. And to show you that we're not smoke and mirrors, I'm going to create a company. And we will call this Intacct just to make it easy. So we'll create intacct.com. It'll pull in all my information that I need over here. We'll hit create company. Now we got them ready to go. I don't need to add any contacts. I'll just go straight for a deal over here. We'll add a new deal. I'm going to change this. We have this set up with its designated pipeline. So we're going to do an order entry pipeline, deal stage, doesn't matter. I'll come down here and add some items. So we'll see those two I just added. We'll do some licensing, and then we'll do an implementation. So implementation is one, but let's add, let's say they got 9 licenses. We'll create that. So by doing that order entry pipeline, we have this view that pops up over here with the order entry integration status. So some audit fields, right? This will be where we'll sync it over. But we've got our line items over here and our totals, 25, just over 25K for the total deal size here. So you can set this right now. We don't have it set up to close when automatically in sync, but if you close one or set it to a certain stage, it would automatically trigger the sync to run. So I'm going to set that sync. I'm going to hit save. And then we're going to give that a second to roll through the integration. We'll see it process here. We'll see it show back as sync, and ultimately the different audit fields will come back through and show them as running through. So while we wait for that to go through, one thing I want to mention is we're talking about order entry here, but we can sync to contracts as well. We'll get another video with that in a little bit here. You actually saw I have another pipeline for contracts here. So with contracts, it's the same idea. You do your sales process inside of HubSpot, you sync that deal over, and it creates the contract over in Intacct. And then as those invoice runs happen, we can sync those invoices over. And then more importantly, as that contract renews, we can sync that back into HubSpot as a deal, a new deal. And we can either close win it automatically, or we can create it ahead of time, ahead of that contract renewal, so that the sales team can look at that and work that deal and maybe upsell or just have a nice touch point with the customer, so they can have that chat and just make sure we're all golden. Once it close wins again, we can push it back over if need be, but everything is kind of in sync at that point. So let's pop up over here. Great, that's synced over. So we're showing us synced on that Intacct new deal. We've got our HubSpot sales order right here, got the timestamp, and then we got the link to, as you guys probably know, we use Workato on the back end here. So we got that link directly to Workato if for some reason we need to access that recipe. So now I'm going to hop into Intacct. I'll go to order entry, into my orders, into the HubSpot order. We got Intacct that was created. They didn't exist before. We'll view this record just to confirm. It is for just over 25,000. We've got our individual line items, 9 licenses, 1 implementation fee. I'm going to convert this into the invoice. So now we've got the HubSpot sales invoice ready to go. I'll post it. And there we go. I'll view it just to confirm we're all good here still. And now I'm going to pay this. So you can have multiple ways of pay. Right now, I'm going to do a check. So it's just, converting this and paying off very easily. But say you had a payment processor on the back end. As many of you know, we have a Stripe integration. This is where you could ping out to Stripe, get that URL back in, send it to the customer, they could pay. If it is contracts, you can use Stripe to, when those invoices are generated, sync it over and automatically pay. There's a lot of flexibility, and kind of the power of integration is really enhanced there by seeing these multiple systems in play here. So I'm going to pay this off in full, $25,692. We're going from check. We'll hit pay there. So that was successful. The invoice is now showing as paid off, which is great. We'll pop back over here into HubSpot in just a second. While we do that, I might have mentioned this before, but we do a lot of our integrations out of Intacct through Smart Event Jobs. So I always come to this page and say, you know, this is kind of our traffic cop. As things queue up out of Intacct, we have a lot of invoices that come in. It just kind of stacks them up here. And this lets us know that these are, you know, ready to go. And then when this clears, it's off to the races through the integration tool. And then ultimately we'll go into HubSpot showing those invoices, and those invoices paid off. So that's cleared now. It should populate in HubSpot. We'll hit refresh over here. And there we go. That same deal. We have our invoice loaded over here. Same deal, $25,692. So that invoice has come through for that amount, showing nothing is due because we paid it off, right? And we have all of our timestamp going on there. So that's what the integration looks like with order entry. So one more thing I wanted to add before we kind of sign off here. This is what our kind of standard out of the box integration looks like. Now, obviously we have contracts. We'll come back to that. There are other things that we can add to this. One thing we get often is creating projects out of a deal. So when if we need to create a project for every deal one, so that you can associate things needed on the Intacct side, we can certainly do that and add just some additional scope. So anything like that that's a little ancillary, that's additional work, we can definitely add, but we like to start with the baseline before we get into that world. So that's it, guys. I appreciate your time. Let us know if you have any questions, or we can help you in your sales cycle with current customers.